In Germany, as a freelancer, you're gonna have to take a decision that's either going to make or break your budget by about 5,000 euros. I'm talking about health insurance. Most freelancers that have moved here are in fact gonna make the wrong decision because they assume they're only eligible for private health insurance. That's not the case. And whether or not you should choose private health insurance can vary widely from one freelancer or self-employed person to the next. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video, trying to help you determine what is the best health insurance option for your unique situation. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, hello, my name is Theo. I'm from Feather. Feather is a digital insurance company. We help people who have moved abroad figure out all things insurance, from your liability, your professional liability insurance as a freelancer, or your health insurance as in today's video. But we also break down other questions on this channel, like admin processes or bureaucracy questions. We do it all, and we do it in English. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started into today's video. Health insurance in Germany is mandatory, as you've probably learned by now. You're gonna need to have proof of health insurance to get a residence permit, and you can't live legally in Germany without a residence permit. So that's for sure, you need health insurance. You've got quite a few options, public, private, and expat health insurance that enable you to meet the minimum legal requirements for health insurance. And the difference between the most affordable policy and the most expensive policy can be over 1,000 euros per month, which is insane if you think about it. But that's exactly what we're gonna try and break down in today's video, try and understand why do you have such a massive gap between your different options, and when does it make sense to pick the more expensive one over the cheaper one. So yeah, the stakes are real. Your wallet is gonna feel the difference between the different options. So let's talk about those different options, starting with public health insurance. Public health insurance is the most expensive option for most freelancers in Germany because it's going to be about 14.3% of your income plus an additional provider-specific contribution of about 1%, maybe 2%, maybe 3%, depending on your company. In total, you have to spend 16% of your income on public health insurance as a freelancer. There is a maximum amount that you can be asked to pay if you earn above a certain threshold. Germany decides, okay, we're not gonna make this person pay anymore, but that amount is huge. You can pay up to 1,230 euros per month with public health insurance as a freelancer. For a lot of employees, they don't have the same challenge because their employers pay for half of the costs. But as a freelancer, you pay for 100% of the costs, which can feel really unfair. And it's why I would typically advise freelancers to evaluate other options than public health insurance. That's not to spit on public health insurance here in Germany. It's really good quality. Coverage is excellent. You have access to amazing medical care. You have access to outpatient treatment, inpatient treatment, specialist visits, medication. You pay only like 5 to 10 euros in copay for whatever prescription you're gonna get. If you have to do a couple of nights in the hospital, you pay 10 euros per night in the hospital, no matter what type of care you get. But it comes also with a lot of negatives, like the fact that if you want to go see a specialist, you're gonna have to go ask your GP first to give you a referral to go see a specialist. That just increases the time that it takes to get the treatment that you know you need to get done. It's also very frustrating for a lot of people because waiting times to see those very specialists are so long on public health insurance. It can take weeks, even months to see the type of specialist that you need. I know for a fact that it can be extremely difficult to see mental health professionals, at least in the Berlin area. It's extremely time consuming to find someone who can see you, and it can even sometimes deter people from seeing the specialist they really need to see because of how frustrating it can be to find someone who's available to see you. So that's to give you a brief overview of public health insurance. The other primary alternative is going to be private health insurance. Private health insurance is where most of you freelancers and self-employed people will find the best value. Because unlike with public health insurance, which takes a percentage of your income, private health insurance will be a fixed monetary amount that's always consistent month to month. How does it work? when you sign up, you're going to fill in a medical questionnaire. If you sign up for one of those legacy providers, those really big brands that all of you have heard of, you might have to go also see a doctor to make sure everything is good with you. But in any case, where I'm going with this is with private health insurance, your price is based on 3 primary factors. First of all, your age at the moment of sign up. Younger people tend to have better rates, and older people tend to have more expensive rates. 2 is your desired level of coverage, which unlike with public health insurance, where the coverage is very consistent between different companies, with private health insurance, companies can really build tailored plans for you, where you can choose to have certain benefits be really amazing, for example, dental or vision care, and then choose some other benefits to be a little bit less comprehensive, like say alternative medicine, if it's something you don't believe in or want to partake in. So these are the 2 first factors, age as well as desired level of coverage. The better the coverage, the more expensive it's going to be, clearly. And then finally, the last and third element that's going to drive your price up or down for your quote when it comes to private health insurance is any pre-existing conditions that you might have. Pre-existing conditions can lead to drastic increases in price or very small increases in price or even a rejection of getting covered. So what am I saying here? Basically, depending on what type of pre-existing condition you have, you might not be able to get private health insurance. Say if you have severe type 2 diabetes, some insurers are going to say, hey, we can't accept to cover you because we know for a fact that with type 2 diabetes, over time, you're going to be costing us a lot more money than you're going to be bringing in with your premiums. So that's one possibility. Your insurer might tell you, hey, we unfortunately can't cover someone with type 2 diabetes. But an alternative might be, listen, we accept to take you in as a private patient and you're going to be one of our customers, but unfortunately, anything that's pertaining to type 2 diabetes, you're going to have to pay for on your own. However, everything else, we're still going to get it covered. So that's 2 of the potential options if you have any pre-existing condition. The last 2 options that are available to you when you have any pre-existing conditions, or that rather the insurer will let you know what they decide to do is, 1, they'll say, okay, you have pre-existing conditions, I don't care, you get it just as is. And the final option is you have a pre-existing condition, so what we're going to do is we're going to make you pay a little bit more every month in order to make sure that we're going to recuperate any money that we lose because of this pre-existing condition. When those 3 factors play in your favor, you're going to be saving a lot of money compared to public health insurance. So I was just playing around with the private health insurance calculator. Actually, I'm going to leave a link to both the private health insurance calculator and the public health insurance calculator down in the description in case you're interested, so that you can play around with different quotes and see what makes the most amount of sense for you. There's also a little bit of an explanation of what coverage you get. I mean, check it out, you'll find out. So here, when I was playing around with the cost of private health insurance for someone born in 1995, making about 80,000 euros per year, who's self-employed, they would pay around 390 euros for our standard plan, which when you compare it to the most amount of money that someone would have to pay on public health insurance, where you would be spending around 1,230 euros per month, it's really not comparable. And I, again, don't want to bash on the public system here in Germany, because the public system is really strong and really excellent for a lot of reasons. But generally speaking, the coverage is going to be worse than on private health insurance. With private health insurance, you get better benefits. You also get access to specialists immediately. You don't need to go see your GP. And also you have access to a lot more specialists. You don't have as long as a wait time as you do with public health insurance. And that's just a fact, because a lot of specialists will say, hey, I in fact only accept private patients as opposed to public patients, because private patients are the type of patients that pay upfront and then ask their insurance company to reimburse them later. So the doctor that you're going to see doesn't have to deal with the insurance company much at all. Whereas if you're on public health insurance, the doctor has to deal with the insurance company. They have to prove that, hey, indeed, we did all of those treatments and assessments, and it cost this much, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of more work involved for the doctor to convince a public health insurance company to give them the money, as opposed to convince you when you're getting a service as a private health insurance payment. So that's how it works, and why it's a lot faster to see specialists on private health insurance. But with that said, you might be thinking, well, $390, that's still a lot of money for me to spend on health insurance when I know for a fact that I pretty much never have any health issues and I want to save a pretty penny. There is a third option for those of you who want to look for a more affordable option and who are willing to sacrifice a little bit of benefits. That's expat health insurance. Expat health insurance is a type of short-term health insurance, international health insurance, also called incoming health insurance. There's like a dozen names to this thing. What expat health insurance is essentially a private health insurance. It's just not the typical private health insurance you have here in Germany. It's a type of policy that's designed to be somewhat short-term. I mean, our most affordable plans last for only 5 years. Our sort of middle tier to expensive plans can last much longer if you want them to, but I mean, reach out if that's the case. Most of the time, people will opt for our expat health insurance policy that lasts for up to 5 years and which costs only 72 euros per month. So that's 14 times less than the cost of public health insurance, or at least the most expensive cost of public health insurance. That's really crazy to think about here. But for 72 euros per month, you get pretty solid benefits. If you contract anything after your start date, then effectively it's going to be covered. You're good to go. Something to keep in mind, what is the real drawback from expat health insurance is that on the one hand, you have access to much less preventative care. You have some preventative care, like you can go get a checkup, but you're gonna have to be paying a copay, which is about 25 euros per event. You're gonna have to also get a lot less frequent of a treatment, of a preventative treatment done. And then the other primary con that you have to trade off when you're only spending 72 euros per month on health insurance is that any pre-existing conditions are not going to be covered. So recall when I was telling you with private health insurance, if you have pre-existing conditions, sometimes some insurers are going to say, hey, this specific component of your policy, or rather this specific component of your health is not going to be covered by the policy. So in this case, with expat health insurance, it's always the case. Anything that happened to you in the past or you contracted in the past before the start date of your policy is never going to be covered. And that's how expat health insurance providers like Feather can maintain a really low price of 72 euros per month. Now you might be wondering, well, what about travel insurance? I hear travel insurance is like 18 bucks per year or something. Well, yes, travel insurance is super affordable, but it's not going to work if you're planning to move to Germany long term. If you want to do maybe, I don't know, 60 days in Germany, you might get away with travel insurance, even though there's virtually zero preventative care. So it's really just in case something goes bad in the next 60 days policy, I'm gonna get covered. That's when travel insurance works. But if you plan to move and to register an address and to live life as an actual resident, travel insurance is going to get rejected and get you laughed out of all of the typical admin places in Germany, like the registration office. There's one final option for you freelancers who are on the artistic side and maybe a publicist or, well, an artist, a musician. There is what's called the KSK. The KSK is an association for freelancers in the creative fields that will help you get public health insurance on your behalf. Basically, the way that it works is that it's going to act as an employer for you and pay for half of your insurance contributions, half of your pension or retirement contributions. It's really an incredible system put in place for those of you who are eligible. And those of you who are eligible are those who can be considered artists. What does it mean to be considered an artist? That means that most of your income comes from artistic sources, whether it be selling your art, whether it be selling your services to create art for other people, this type of stuff. The cons of this KSK is that it's extremely time consuming and tedious to apply. It takes anywhere from 3 to maybe 9 months to get the whole application process done. It's also very difficult to get any information about this in English. Most of the time, everything you're gonna have to do is in German. So in case you have a German friend or a translator or maybe a ChatGPT who can help you read through the documents and fill them out correctly. You also need to earn at least 4,000 euros per year, which For a lot of artists should be okay, but in case you're at the beginning of your career, you get a 3-year grace period where you can negotiate with the KSK to lower that minimum amount of income, which is really great in case you're not yet making those 3,900 euros per year from artistic activities. But my pro tip would be start your KSK application as early as possible if you think you're eligible, because it's definitely going to take a while. Now, we've gone through all of the available options for freelancers when it comes to health insurance. Let's make sure that you pick the right one by going through a little bit of a decision framework, decision tree, whatever you want to, what you want to do. If you're eligible for the KSK, always sign up for the KSK. This institution is really incredible. The fact that they pay for half of your health insurance contribution, half of your pension, even if it takes a long time to sign up, you should definitely look into it. In the meantime, while you're waiting to get into the KSK officially, sign up for Expat health insurance. Most affordable policy, and it's designed for those sort of in-between gaps. It's designed as a bridge from whatever, the time you move that here to the time that you get to the KSK. Expat health insurance, it's a pretty good deal. Option number 2 would be to determine whether or not you've been insured in another EU country. If the answer is yes, then you are eligible for public health insurance. Then from there, you have to decide whether or not public health insurance, with all of its pros and cons, makes sense to you. We've already published a video on public health insurance on this channel, so in case you're interested in finding out more about whether or not it makes sense in your individual situation, check it out, leaving a link down in the description. However, if you've not been insured in the past in the EU over the last, say, 5 years, you're not going to be eligible for public health insurance, in which case you have to have private health insurance. That brings me on to step 3. Those of you considering fully comprehensive private health insurance. Private health insurance is going to be available to anyone who has a residence permit here in Germany. Private health insurance, I think, is one of the best options indeed for freelancers. If you earn above 30,000 euros, maybe 36,000 euros, depending on the company, you are going to be eligible, though it's not legally mandated by law that you earn above this threshold. A lot of companies, private companies, will expect you to earn above a certain amount in order for them to allow you to join their program. We've also already published a video on private health insurance in Germany, so I'm going to leave a link in the description to help you decide whether or not it makes sense in your individual situation. But if you've unfortunately not been publicly insured in the EU in the past, you've also not yet got a residence permit, or maybe private and public health insurance are just too expensive for you, you want to head to Expat health insurance. That's going to be the best policy for you. I talked about it at length in a video that I'm going to be linking down in the description once again. But most of the time, if you are either not eligible or you find public too expensive, maybe you're also not happy with the price of private health insurance because maybe you're just starting out, or maybe you're not earning above the 36,000 euros that you need to be earning in order to join most of these programs, then Expat health insurance is always going to be accepting you into a policy. All right, and that's it for today's video on freelancer health insurance here in Germany. I'm going to leave in the description many links, 3 of those being the different types of health insurance available in Germany. Made a video for each one of them. I'm also going to leave in the description a couple of links to Feather's landing pages on public health insurance, private health insurance, and also Expat health insurance, depending on which one makes the most sense for your individual situation. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great one. Ciao, ciao.